a beloved modern royal couple rises to fame and fortune. But when their biggest supporter suddenly turns away, their fairy tale begins to crumble in ways no one saw coming.
But within hours, it grew into a thunderstorm roaring across Hollywood. Jeff Bezos was done with the Sussexes. Not reconsidering, not renegotiating. Done. And when the news reached Meghan Markle in Montecito,
what happens when the person who held your dreams in his hands just lets go? Why would a billionaire who once opened every door suddenly close them all? What did Meghan and Harry do that made their golden ticket disappear? And what secret conversation happened behind closed doors that changed everything? But here's the thing that makes this story cut so deep. This isn't just about money or fame, it's about trust, broken promises, and the moment when you realize the people you thought believed in you never really did. There was a time when it all felt possible. Meghan and Harry stood on a stage in California. The sun was setting, cameras flashed, and Jeff Bezos was right there in the front row, smiling. This wasn't just another celebrity friendship. This was power. This was protection. This was the kind of connection that could build empires. Jeff had already changed the world with Amazon. He owned newspapers. He launched rockets into space. And now, he was standing behind two people the world couldn't stop talking about. People whispered, "They're untouchable now." But here's what no one knew yet. Behind the smiles and the champagne glasses, something was already starting to crack. Small things, quiet things, the kind of things you don't notice until it's too late. And by the time anyone realized what was happening, the dream was already slipping away. But no one, not even Meghan, saw the first warning sign. Let's go back to when it all started. It was 2020. The world was locked down. Meghan and Harry had just left the royal family. They needed allies. They needed money. They needed someone who could open doors that royalty couldn't. And Jeff Bezos, he was that someone. He didn't just have money. He had influence. He had connections to every powerful person in Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and Washington. When Jeff's name got attached to yours, people noticed. Deals happened. Opportunities appeared out of nowhere. Meghan knew this. Harry knew this, and they played it perfectly. Dinner parties at Jeff's mansion, private jets, quiet meetings where million-dollar deals were whispered across the table. For a moment, it felt like they had everything figured out. But there's something about power that people always forget. It's not yours. It's borrowed. And the person who lent it to you, they can take it back anytime they want. And Jeff was about to remind them of that in the cruelest way possible. It started small. A canceled lunch, a phone call that didn't get returned, a meeting that got pushed back and then pushed back again. Meghan tried not to worry. Harry told himself it was nothing. Jeff was busy. That's all it was. But then the invitations stopped coming. The big parties where they used to walk in like royalty, their names weren't on the list anymore. The exclusive dinners where deals were made, someone else was sitting in their seats now. And the worst part? No one would tell them why. People who used to text Meghan every day went silent. Producers who promised projects suddenly had scheduling conflicts. Even the press, who usually loved writing about them, seemed to be getting their stories from somewhere else now. It was like watching a door close in slow motion, and on the other side of that door stood Jeff Bezos, holding the key, saying absolutely nothing. But what happened next made everything so much worse. There was a project, a big one. Meghan had pitched it herself, a documentary series about women changing the world. It was perfect, it was meaningful, and Jeff's production company had said yes. Or so she thought. The contracts were being reviewed, the budgets were being finalized. Everything was almost ready. Months passed. Then more months. And every time Meghan asked, she got the same answer. Soon. But soon never came. Behind the scenes, Jeff's team was already pulling away. Quietly. Carefully. They didn't want to make a scene. They just wanted distance. And here's the part that broke Meghan's heart. She found out from someone else. Not from Jeff, not from his team, from a journalist asking for a comment about the cancelled Sussex deal. Cancelled. The word hit her like ice water. She called Jeff's office, no answer. She sent texts, nothing. And that's when she realized she'd been cut off.
Hollywood is a small town, even though it looks huge. And when something happens, really happens, everyone knows within 48 hours. The whispers started at a party in Beverly Hills. Someone mentioned that Jeff had moved on from the Sussexes. Someone else said they'd heard Meghan was difficult to work with. Another person claimed Harry wasn't serious enough about business. None of it was loud, none of it was official. But that's how Hollywood destroys you. Not with headlines, with whispers. Meghan started noticing it everywhere. The way people looked at her. The way conversations stopped when she walked into a room. The way old friends suddenly had other plans. And the worst part? She couldn't fight it because no one was saying anything directly. It was all just floating in the air, like smoke from a fire she couldn't see. But somewhere, someone had lit the match. And Meghan was starting to realize who that someone might be. There's a moment in every downfall where you finally break. For Meghan, it happened on a Tuesday afternoon. She was sitting in her home office, sunlight coming through the window, papers spread across the desk, and her phone silent. Completely silent. A year ago, that phone never stopped ringing. Producers, agents, opportunities. Now, nothing. Harry walked in and found her crying. Not the kind of crying you do when you're sad. The kind you do when you're angry and heartbroken and you don't understand how everything fell apart so fast. "What did we do wrong?" she whispered. Harry didn't have an answer because the truth was they didn't know. No one had told them. No one had given them a chance to fix it. They'd just been erased. And the person who erased them, he was probably on his yacht right now, not thinking about them at all. But what Meghan didn't know was that Jeff's decision had nothing to do with her talent and everything to do with fear.
Here's the truth no one talks about. Jeff Bezos didn't drop Meghan and Harry because they weren't talented. He dropped them because they became toxic. Not toxic in the way you think, not mean or rude or demanding. Toxic in the way that matters in Hollywood. Their brand was damaged. The press had turned on them. The public was tired of their complaints. And every time someone mentioned the Sussexes, the comment section exploded with hate. Jeff saw the data. His team showed him the numbers, and the numbers said one thing. Association with Meghan and Harry was bad for business. So he made a choice. A cold, calculated business choice. He cut them loose. No dramatic phone call, no explanation. Just silence. Because in Jeff's world, loyalty doesn't matter more than profit. And Meghan and Harry? They'd stopped being profitable. But there was one final meeting that sealed their fate forever. It happened in January. Meghan requested a meeting. One last conversation, face to face. Jeff's assistant said he was unavailable, but Meghan didn't give up. She wrote a letter, a real handwritten letter, the kind people don't write anymore. She poured her heart into it, explained her side, asked for a chance to understand what went wrong. 2 weeks later, she got a response. Not from Jeff, from his lawyer. The message was polite, professional, and absolutely crushing. Mr. Bezos appreciates your outreach, but feels it's best for both parties to move forward separately. He wishes you all the best in your future endeavors. Future endeavors. Those words echoed in Meghan's head for days. Because what future? The doors were closed, the phone wasn't ringing, and the man who could have changed everything had just said goodbye in the coldest way possible. And that's when Meghan realized she was truly on her own. The hardest part isn't the fall. It's what comes after. Meghan and Harry are still famous. They still have money. They still have their mansion and their titles and their kids. But they don't have what they really wanted. Respect. Hollywood moved on. The billionaires moved on. Even the press, who used to write about them every single day, barely mentions them anymore, unless it's to criticize them. And Jeff Bezos? He's already working with other celebrities, other causes, other people who fit his brand better. Meghan sees the photos sometimes. Jeff at events with people who used to be her friends, smiling, shaking hands, making deals. And she wonders, was she ever really part of his world? Or was she just a guest who overstayed her welcome? The truth is probably somewhere in between. But it doesn't matter now, because the door is closed, and it's never opening again. Here's what this story is really about. It's not about Meghan or Harry or even Jeff Bezos. It's about power and how quickly it can disappear. You can have everything, the right friends, the right connections, the right opportunities. But if the world decides you're no longer useful, all of it vanishes, like it was never there. Meghan is learning that now, the hard way. She's still fighting, still trying to rebuild, still hoping that one day someone will give her another chance. But in Hollywood and in life, second chances are rare, and third chances almost impossible. So maybe the real question isn't, what did Meghan do wrong? Maybe it's, what happens to people when the world stops caring? And the answer is simple, and sad, and true. They fade. Slowly, quietly, until one day, people forget they were ever there at all. And that's the secret Hollywood never tells you, until it's too late. So now you know the truth, the real story behind the headlines. If this hit you hard, subscribe so you never miss the secrets Hollywood tries to bury. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Meghan and Harry will ever get another chance, or is this the end? And if you loved this deep dive, check out our playlist on old Hollywood downfalls, because these stories, they never really end.